Sure, go ahead.
Kevin, I appreciate what you've gone through, and I almost agree with you that it has been a long, drawn-out process. But I want to tell you, you talked about, you mentioned due diligence. And
No, you just did, I didn't see you do
No,
that.
no, you used the word. You used due diligence, because I had made a note of that, because when I sat around in a chair that you folks had as well, when you had issues that came up, you had to do what you have done, and you've gone out and you've looked at information, you had to do a lot of reading in that. And I hate to say it, but to really do due diligence on that, you're gonna have to do some additional reading, because the final report.
It's gonna be so much different than the rough draft.
All right, wait a minute, no, exactly, but you really have to look at this. I mean, I got a copy last night, so it's out, and it's gonna be available. There's a draft we have to go through and make sure that it's gonna be available this weekend or early next week. It's, I don't know, 75, 85 pages, it goes through the whole area. But I really think if you've gone to all the trouble, you really owe it to at least take a look at this thing and go through and review and read it. And because it'll be very specific. It might answer some of the questions and concerns that you have regarding this whole thing. And so it's within reach. It's right here. It's probably the biggest piece. If you read Hudson River SASS, if you read some of those other things, this is about this area and this region, and the parts that I have gone through so far have been very, very well done. And I just say, before you make a decision, at least read that, then you're entitled to do whatever you want. The other thing I had here was the issue of opting out. And Kevin said last night he went into the town of Alexandria. I was there as well. And actually, you were right. You were right. You were saying as far as as far as the law was, and as far as what you had gotten back from the material, is the fact that what you had to do as a community is you had to opt out. If you didn't do anything and you've been more or less supportive in that type of thing, you didn't have to opt in, but you had to opt out if you taking the position you are right now. So you still have to do that as far as the law is going.
Right, if you never got in, well, why do you have to get out?
If I could just finish, but that's how it was set up. But Attorney Joe Russell, who's the Alex Bay attorney, he was very concerned about that. He immediately responded when Kevin asked that question. He came back and he made the point of the fact that he's representing 4 communities along the river. So he said, I really got to do my homework on this, because I want to make sure that their interests are protected in that. And he indicated, and I actually wrote this stuff down, and when Kevin had made up the point right there, Attorney Russell says, he says, I've spoken with counsel's office, the counsel's office with the Department of State, and he had been in contact with agents, and I have been assured that any municipality not wanting to be included in SASS will not be included, and that has been their practice, the Department of State, and it has been their policy, and he says they are going to be sending me that in writing. So what they talked about in the email that you got from Riddler indicated, Steve Riddler, that came directly to Kevin here a while back, indicated the report's coming out, and it is right now. It will be available no later than next week. And the fact is, we have a public hearing that is going to be in Cape Vincent on April the 13th. This is where they're going to discuss the final report, present it. If you've got some questions, you can answer those, or have those answered, and hopefully. And then he indicated, then you can opt out. So he was telling folks last night, there's really no rush to do this, but you're going to have time. A good point was made there last night, and that is, well, is there a deadline? And we talked about that. There wasn't any deadline, so that's one of the things we're going to get back to the Department of State saying, after that public hearing, April 13th, what is the deadline that a community can send in a resolution and say we're not going to participate? But I would even urge you too to take a look. The way the law is, you have to opt out. You know, you've got a resolution that you're opting in, but I would say if you want to get out, you better down the road take up a resolution to opt out, because that's the way it is set up right now. But having said that, I think the main thing to do is, I don't know what impact this would have overall, but you really should be looking at the final report. And then I can tell you, you've got time to opt out down the road and any other information.
And we can always opt in the future. if we got that.
They indicated that the
No,
fact that if you're
I heard
out,
that.
if you're out and then down the road, if suddenly it seems like something you'd like to do, yes, because you have gone through a lot of the inventory work and everything else you're doing and stuff, so, and of course, that'd be something that would be a question you very well might ask, is how far down the road can you still update? And I don't have the answer to that question.
Yes, Mr. Burrow.
I just applaud you guys as a board for doing the research and not homework that you guys have and build it. You know, you guys said some really great things tonight, and it was just great listening to our town board unified and having done their due diligence, their homework for their area that they're representing. So I applaud you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you something, Mr. Schneider?
Sure.
I'm gonna go back to being appalled. Sitting on the town board, and you've got a copy of this draft, people, I don't get that part.
Say again, Doug?
That you had a draft of this final, report on SASS. You had the draft.
I got it last night.
I'm appalled. I didn't get it before you. And I'm not mentioned in an application again, or not me personally, but a town board, and we have not even seen it.
Well,
I get appalled with stuff. Doing things by the numbers is how we're supposed to do things. We were named in an application when we sent, again, we'll go back to sending a letter stating that we might be interested in this. The application should not, and again, been done until the final draft was approved by all 10 entities. You're very involved, Mr. Schneider, and I truly applaud you for that, but you would have thought he would have got one last night. And if he would have got one last night, guess who would have got one today? And we didn't.
Well, if I could, Tom, the purpose of this and what we did today is to review this because they came back and said, would you please review it to make sure that it's some nits in that. And the fact is, we sat down today and
Wouldn't you think we all would review it?
yeah, well, you are going to review it.
Well, I don't understand why you would get it before we would. Your name's not even on the paper, is it? Is your name,
Well, that's beside the point, but.
No, it's not.
No, you're asking, yes, my name is on the paper.
But you know what I mean, Cliff? You know what I mean? It would seem like if the draft came out, it would have went to all 10 municipality,
It's exactly.
Ron Bertram, myself, Justin, Urban, Danielle.
Honey,
You would have thought it would have went to all of us. We would have distributed it, and then Tommy. Yeah, but the whole system has been flawed.
Well, look, what I did, for example, when I worked with the DEC, and maybe Jim Burrows can say, when you're putting together a report that you're gonna turn out to municipalities and that, you wanna make sure that some people go through it, make sure that, you have to read through it, have some corrections here, you didn't spell this properly, you didn't have this island name prop, and that kind of stuff before you release it and go public. But no, the intention was we got the transmittal letter ready to go, and when this thing gets done, and the final nits and all the corrections are made, it was gonna go to you, it was gonna go this weekend. So, I mean, they had to send it to someone for review, but whatever.
Okay.